Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back, team. You're with Next Level JJ, and today we are giving our love and appreciation to one of the all-time greatest cars, the Honda S2000 AP1. Hey, it's really, really good to have you back here. As some of you might be noticing, the green screen quality has gone up a little bit. Thanks to YOLO Live, I've got the S3 camera now, so things are a little bit smoother. Of course, there's still some tuning to do, but hey, isn't there? Always. Now, it's always good to talk a little bit about our channel because we are a community. If you head over to my Discord, you'll see that we're growing this slowly but surely. We're getting more and more team members, people who love Assetto Corsa, people who love Claire Obscure, people who love Rocket League, and so forth and so forth. And so if you want to learn more about me, you want to learn more about this channel, definitely just head over to nextleveljj.com, and there is my schedule, all of my socials. There's a newsletter you can sign up for, details about my Patreon, and so forth. Definitely something worth keeping an eye on. So the shirts for our team are going to be delivered the first two tomorrow, which means that one, I'm going to get one, and two, the OG original Patreon supporter, the legend, the John, he's gonna get one too. So once that's out there and it's feeling good, it's looking good, we'll fire up a competition and we'll share some more details. So hopefully see you there soon. Now, as always, Stream Beats by Harris Heller are rocking us today. For today, I thought I'd start off with the Sus album because it it definitely has a bit of energy to it. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, it's always good to have their tunes just playing in the background, just keeping the energy going. Now, for today, it's pretty simple. What are we keen to do? We are keen to talk about this down here, the Honda S2000. Now, if you don't know much about the Honda S2000, that is quite normal. Really, that is quite normal. Oh, you're kidding me. Really? This is hilarious, team. So, I have been using my Google Sheets for weeks. All right, and I planned my script for today, and literally as I go in there, Google goes, "Oh, we've signed you out." Far out. Are you kidding me? Okay, well, give me a second. Now I'm gonna have to figure out a way to fix this. Oh my goodness. Like, that is, I think, Sting said it best. Those who curse their luck in too many places, are lost. And so you should never, talk about your bad luck all the time. But for me, there's sometimes where I think there's an angel or something sitting there, and this angel has a mean streak. Are you kidding me? That Google Sheet literally signed out 2 minutes ago. I've got swear words in my mind, but I'm not going to use any of them now. We're just going to casually handle this problem on the fly. And of course, I've got a password locker, so I've got to do that too. Can I get in, Google? Hello? Oh, that's so nice of you. Thanks. Oh, I love that. Like, you plan things to the perfection, and then these things still happen. Hey, let's not worry about that. We're live. And by the way, of course, if you want to say hello, don't be shy. Let's go. I do have a chat area, so it'd be good to hear from you. And yeah, it is on screen, so, don't say anything untoward. So, what are we doing today? Simply, we're going to be talking about the S2000. Now, the reason why that is because I, from a very young age, when this car came out, had an obsession with it. Obviously, you can see some of it in the background now. But from a young age, I thought this was just one of the most beautiful, small sports cars you can get. And the moment I had the opportunity to drive one, which was me and a friend went to a Honda garage and we test drove it, I fell in love. I did, within 3 minutes, learn very quickly that this car can bite, and I almost had an accident at over 180 kilometers per hour on a non-public road, of course. But regardless, I loved it. The fact that you put the roof down and it goes up to 9,000 RPM and you're lying low within the car and you've got this amazing gearbox with a digital rev counter. all of that just shouted, for its cost. I mean, of course, there are better cars out there, but you have to double or maybe even triple the price before you get to it. Now, I used to own one, and so one of the things we're going to do today is I'll show you a couple of clips of me driving it, and so you can see it from a real world perspective. But what I thought we'd do is let's first start by looking at a little bit of the history. Now, of course, if you're here just to watch me race it, don't worry, we're going to rag the out of it in a few minutes. I have got a new addition to the channel. I can't show you with this camera, but maybe let's not try it on there. But I have recently purchased a manual shifter, so I do have pedals with a clutch pedal, and that I've had for a while, but I'd never got the shifter, and so I've got one. I used to have one a few years ago when I lived in Denmark. I actually left all of that there to a good friend of mine, and so I've slowly had to build up my sim rig, and so this is added, and it's at the perfect time because the S2000 has what is regarded as one of the best gearboxes in the world, and being able to heel and tow a car that revs to 9,000 RPM is going to be amazing. Last night I drove it in the rain at night at the Nürburgring, and I walked away with the biggest, fattest smile on my face. So if you want to see me drive, don't you worry, it's coming. But like I said, before we do that, this is a love edition. What I want to do is just go through some of the highlights of the S2000, and that's just because it's a very misunderstood car. It's like many very special cars. Those who know, they know, but those who don't know look at that and they go, is that an MX-5? Which, as I always say, not ragging on the MX-5. The MX-5 is one of the legendary cars of our time, but when the S2000 came out, it was a lot more expensive than the MX-5, and that's because the level of technology that they put into this car was amazing. And so, of course, if you have a little child, you want everybody to think your child is smart and beautiful. And because I'm a lover of an S2000, I want everybody to understand. So hopefully you can enjoy this, you can learn a little bit, and next time you see a cute little S2000 go by, you go, oh yeah, that thing's got a little bit more to it than the eye might give you. All right, so just a quick thing I've got to set up here. So one of the fun things when you set up a new camera, of course, is there's lots of things that change, and no matter how many tests you run, there's something more that pops up. There we go. Cool. Okay. Yeah, there we go. All right, team. So here we go. So I thought what we'd do is we just start with some of its history. So of course, Wikipedia is going to be the perfect one for that. And so let me just maybe make myself just a little bit smaller. There we go. You can read a little bit more. Perfect. And so the Honda S2000, I'm not going to read everything, don't you worry, but the Honda S2000 is a front mid-engine open-top sports car. So we'll get into the mid-engine thing in a minute. But it was manufactured from 1999 to 2009. It was quite a successful range of cars. It is sad that they didn't continue it, and there has been rumors of them bringing one back. And I can promise you, if they bring a new one that looks very similar to the old one, but just with modern functionality and it can rev to 9,000 RPM, I am calling the devil. I'm selling my soul. I probably should be able to afford it, hopefully, by then. But the was first shown as a concept car in the Tokyo Motor Show, so you can see here's an image of it now, and we'll get into the design of it in a minute. A very, very famous design house helped build it. All right, there were several revisions, but the key thing to know is there were two main models. There was an AP1 and an AP2. So AP1 was the first version, and then after a few years, they brought out the AP2. Now, the AP1 was the OG. That was the one that revved to 9,000 RPM. The AP2, they did modifications to make it safer, more drivable in normal conditions, but I think they removed some of the key things that made the S2000 the best. All right, things like it revved to 9,000 RPM in AP1, AP2 revved to 8,800 or 700. You think that 200 is so small? It is. But in my mind, 9,000 was the one. They also changed the rev counter. The digital rev counter, which you'll see in a second, little Fast and Furious thing coming soon, for the AP1 went all the way around, whereas in the AP2, it went 3/4 of the way, and then they had some additional dials. The AP1 didn't come with any form of stability or traction control. And that was one of the key things. The S2000, like Doug DeMuro kind of alluded to, is very similar to the Carrera GT. And that is a massive compliment if you know what a Carrera GT is. But Carrera GT on its original tires and stuff is very spiky. aka it did unfortunately kill Paul Walker and whoever he was driving with. Well, that was driving him, I believe. But point is, the S2000 is that same thing. It has a beautiful get up to the limit point, but when you cross the limit, she can bite you. And so a lot of people had a problem with that. And so with the AP2, they brought out stability control. They made some suspension adjustments and things like that to make it a little bit better. It also got more torque, the AP2, because a lot of people complain that you have to rev the nuts off of it to get it to do anything, whereas the AP2 had a bit more torque. But that's the whole point of the S2000. I'm not driving it in traffic at 4,000 RPM going, oh, I wish it had a little bit more torque. No, I'm waiting for the next green light so I can rev it to 9,000 RPM, slam change to second, feel it squat, and do just that, and it's in the rev band, power band, and off it goes again. I don't care with the people behind me, though. But anyway, I digress. And so, yes, S2000, the concept car was very interesting. We'll get into the X-Frame in a second, which is very cool. So as I mentioned, there was the AP1 from 1999 to 2003. Then, there was a Type V. One thing that was very sad for me, and I just don't understand what Honda, which you can clearly see. This is my favorite Red Bull shirt, by the way. I'm a Red Bull supporter, though I support all Formula One teams. But it was bought quite some time ago at the Belgian Grand Prix, and that's when Aston Martin was a part of the Red Bull team and Honda was still the engine manufacturer. And eventually they did a deal, so it only became Honda Racing, and then obviously that branding fell away and blah blah blah. But I love the shirt because I do support Aston Martin, especially this year. Adrian Newey, go go go. But also, Honda is now with Aston Martin, so I obviously support Aston Martin that reason as well. But I love Red Bull, so Ford's not that bad either. Anyway, and so then 2003 they went to the AP2, and then they kept manufacturing it. For me, the AP2 is the more beautiful version. The wheels and the standard body kit that came with it than the AP1. AP1's a bit more plain, but that's where it stops. Everything else about the AP1 is, for me, the better choice. And there were all kinds of additional versions, the Type CR and the Type S and Ultimate Editions. But what I was getting to is they never made a Type R S2000, Civic Type R, NSX Type R, Integra Type R. This is always Honda's ultimate race version, and the S2000 did so well at racing around the world. So I don't understand why Honda never made a Type R S2000. Like, seriously, the day I become a billionaire, I'm going to Japan and I'm going to say to him, you're going to make an AP3 that is like an AP1 with new body kit and a better sound system, and you're going to make a Type R version of it, even if there's just one. I will buy it. Now, let's talk a little bit about specs here, right? So I thought I'd go, and by the way, all of these sites that I'm showing, all these videos are linked in the description. Now, of course, depending on what you're watching this on, it might not show the full description. So actually, let me just quickly do this, team. So I just want to check a couple of settings here. There we go. Of course. There we go. Perfect. Yeah. Perfect. So unfortunately, on some of because I stream on multiple channels, so that's Twitch, YouTube, Kick, and Rumble, when you launch, it doesn't always save which game you're playing. And so right now it's saying that I am playing Claire Obscure on Twitch, which that ain't right. Oh yeah, it's always just fun when you do these things. Hang on. Let's just go here. Live streams. And then the same thing with Rumble. For whatever reason, it doesn't update everything that I needed to. So here we go. Cool. Now, I would have done this before going on air, but unfortunately with these ones, you actually have to do it when you go on air for a very annoying reason. And what's even funnier is that Assetto Corsa Evo doesn't exist on Rumble, so come on Rumble, get your game going, man. There we go. Save. Okay, so Rumble is updated. And then last but not least, I think Kick is good. Yes, okay, cool. Sorry team, a little bit of admin on air, but this is all part of the fun. Right, so as mentioned, what I'd like to do is go through and show you the specs and standout features and things like that. All of the links for this is in the description, and of course if you can't find it in your description, depending on the platform you're watching, in my YouTube channel, this will be something that I'm going to edit afterwards and share a better cut, higher quality version. So let's talk S2000 specs. So again, this is the AP1, and I'm not going to read all of this. I'm really going to go through some of the key things. So for its time and its age, back in those days in the 2000, having a car that goes 0 to 100 in 6 or less seconds was insanely good. I mean, if you think at that point, Subaru STIs with four-wheel drive and more power were doing 5.2 0 to 100s, and M3s were also maybe touching the 4.9 marks. So to just be half a second off something like that was very impressive. What was also really impressive was the fact that it had a perfect 50-50 weight distribution. That is extremely hard. If you think how you have to take a car and put everything in such a way that in the middle of your car, if you split those two things, you weight them, you get this perfect weight distribution. Why do you want that? That just means that when you are rotating the car, you don't have one side or one front or back, left or right, that weighs more than the other, because then it makes the car unstable and less predictable. All right, we'll get into the X-frame in a second. You know, the tires were, nothing really to write home about. It was produced in Honda's new plant, where the NSX, the legendary NSX, was made. We'll talk about the X-frame, as I said, in a second. It was a 2-liter, legendary 2-liter, we'll talk about that in a second, dual overhead cam, VTEC engine that made only 240 horsepower. But remember, it was quite a light car, roughly about 1,200 kgs. So it had the VTEC variable valve timing. Now, for those who don't know, VTEC or variable valve timing just means that it has a cam. Now, a cam basically opens and closes the valves, which is the things, if you don't know, that allow fuel and air in and out of the engine every time it, detonates. But what happens is when they open and close, the amount that they open and close, depending on the RPM that you are at, aren't perfect. And so you kind of have this, you can't have, your cake and eat it, kind of a thing. And so with VTEC, it actually has a cam that has got two profiles. And so what happens when it reaches, in this case, 6,000 RPM, the cam shifts, and then it causes the valves to open and close much faster. And so that just means that it can then pump more fuel, more air, but also be very quick. And so just insanely good technology. And that's a legendary thing of VTEC. You will hear it even in Assetto Corsa. When I hit 6,000, the engine changes the way it sounds. You'll even hear it when I drive it just now. There was so much complex technology in this engine. Lightweight powdered metal, injection molded, sintered steel alloy cam folder for followers. Right? I don't know if they say it here, but even the actual valves, they had a unique injected technology to them. Race car type digital, high efficiency low back honeycomb catalyst exhaust. It was a 4-wheel double wishbone suspension system, very similar to race cars of its time. Amazing gearboxes we talked. They had forged alloy pistons. This is not stuff that you get in normal sports cars. This is stuff that you get for Ferraris and McLarens and stuff. And this was in a sports car. And again, I don't want to brag on the Mazda MX-5. It is amazing. But the MX-5 is a standard car that's been made into what it is. The engine didn't have any race technologies. The frame didn't have anything stupendous about it. The suspensions were quite standard stuff, but it was that what made it such a great car, because it was cheap, it was light, it was easy to drive, and it was rear-wheel drive. Heat treated carburized forged steel crankshaft and connecting rods. What? Nutless connecting rods. I'm sorry. I want to make a shirt with that. And I love nutless connecting rods. Sounds dodgy, actually. Had really good lights, torque sensing, limited slip differential. If you know, many cars don't have very good limited slip diffs. This car had it. A long wearing, here we go, fiber reinforced metal cylinder liners, compact in-wheel, double wishbone suspension, that's right, and it met all kinds of standards. Seriously, team, just this list alone must make you understand that they were not messing around with this. They threw as much technology as they could behind it. It was safe. It revved to 9,000 RPM. What else was interesting here? The 6-speed manual was, fantastic. We'll talk about the X-Band, the power steering, fine, concept of development. All right. So, again, as I said, this thing had some amazing, amazing features. Now, let's talk about some of those amazing features. So, how Honda S2000 ripped up the rule book. So, if you have a look here, I thought this was important to see. When you're sitting in an S2000, one of the key things to a good sports car is that you sit low. Have a look at that. That's the distance from my fat bum to the road. That's in line with the center of the wheels. That is very low. Of course it can go lower. Some of the really good sports cars that are out, they are much lower than that. Like a McLaren, you're basically almost lying down. But look at the knee position. It is above your waistline. And look at your ankle position. It's very, very close to your butt line. And so you would sit in the S2000 in this delicious lying back position, and then you'd have the steering wheel just sit right in front of you and the gearbox just within arm's reach. It was fantastic. All right. Now, you won't see it in this picture, but if you look at where the front wheel is, the engine sat from there backwards, and that's why it's considered a front mid-engine sports car. If you look at the Ferraris, currently your 812 Superfast and your 12 Cilindri and everything going forward or backwards from that, they have the same engine layout where they put the engine behind the front wheels so that the mass doesn't hang over it. So that means that when you're braking and turning, the mass pushes down into the wheels instead of pulling away from the wheels, if I can say it like that. But a very low car as well. You can just see it was quite small then. So this was what I was referring to earlier. The car was originally penned by Pininfarina. Now, if you know anything about cars, Pininfarina is one of the amazing design houses of the world and have penned some of the most amazing cars in history. And so they had a hand in shaping the S2000, which was amazing. We'll get into this in a second, but yes, the S2000 was a very successful race car. This is what I wanted to talk about, and I've got another image to show you. But one of the problems with a convertible, all right, you can imagine if you take a car and your doors are closed, you've got a roof and everything, it forms this cage. And as your car's driving, as you go through bumps, all of the torque that is being caused by one part of the car is immediately transmitted through the body shell to the rest, and so the chassis and everything stays rigid. But the moment you chop the roof off a car, what happens is you lose that structural rigidity at the top, which means that if you go over a bump, it actually causes the car to twist. And so a lot of open-top sports cars, especially from this era, had just this, people just basically said they wobbled, and they did. They wobbled. And so, even Ferraris back in the day, they had this. Obviously, when they have a carbon fiber chassis like they do these days, which, obviously is more of the Aiken of the McLarens and stuff like that, then that's not a problem. But what they did with the S2000 is they built an X-bone frame, all right? And so you can see here, if I just move my mouse, I've got it highlighted in the next one that I'll show you. But basically, this whole frame creates an X through the chassis. And so it meant that it made this entire thing extremely rigid throughout. And so there was virtually no wobble within the car, which again, the moment you have a stable platform to mount your suspension from, you can be much more specific about its geometry and stuff. And there's trust that comes from it, makes the car much more responsive. And so it would become the choice of purist drivers around the world. All right. Okay, the engine. Okay, and we've got a couple of other areas where we're going to talk about this in a second, but basically it was one of the best of all time. All right. Push the right buttons. By the way, did you know that the Honda S2000 was the first modern sports cars to be fitted with a button to start the engine? All right. So it's kind of a stupid thing, but basically you would insert your key, turn your key, but you can't turn it to start. You would then have to push a red start-stop button. A lot of people went, that's stupid. I think it's one of the coolest things ever. And by the way, that particular start button has been used in so many cars that have been modded over the years. And you know, if you see a photo of an S2000, you're going to see that as one of the highlighted features. World's best gearbox. Us honors for their biting memories after the most mentioned incredible gearbox. True that. Now, I wanted to just talk about the engine quickly. So the F20C engine, all right, it only produced 123 horsepower per liter. Okay, it held the crown for many years, okay, as engine of the year and most powerful per liter, you know, if you basically take it per cc, and only in 2010 was it dethroned by the other most amazing car of all time. It's the Ferrari 458 Italia. So you can imagine it had it for, I think it's 5 or 6 years, these awards, year on year on year. So you're talking about, out of all the engines that were manufactured during that time, which there were some of the most amazing ones, the S2000's engine just kept doing it. And it's, as you saw earlier, those specs, just obviously the reason why. But look at that. Whose engine produced 124 per liter, beating out the Honda power plant by 1 horsepower per liter, by 1. The base Ferrari costs around 275,000. So yeah, that shows you that it was something pretty spectacular. Now, this is what I wanted to refer to as well. So what is important? You have some engines that are as a 6-liter V8, but it produces 300 horsepower. So its horsepower per liter is really bad. And so it also means that you get a lot of weight, and that weight doesn't accumulate as power to weight ratio in a good way. And so that's what made the S2000 so good. It was a really light car, and the engine was technically quite small as a 4-cylinder, but it produced a lot of horsepower for its 2 liters. All right. And so this person put together, oh, by the way, for me, a white S2000. My S2000, you'll see in a second, was blue. If I could choose, it'd be white with a red interior. That's what I will get one day. But have a look at this. It created 125 per liter. Okay. Per liter. Now, you go, oh, well, that's nice. So the champion of the NA Power Arena was the Honda S2000 amongst these 6-7-figure supercars and hypercars. Every sports car with one of the most highly tuned engines homologated for road use. Do you hear that? It bests the likes of Lamborghini's STO, the Ferrari, which I love, the F12 TDF, the super fast. It's insane how good it was. Look at this. Okay? It created 125 per liter. Here's the 458, 126 per liter. One of the best cars. LaFerrari, 126. So it's one off a LaFerrari. 911 GT3, the 992. It's 2 off of it. And it's like 20 years difference between these two now, I think. Just unbelievable. The cars that are modern. This is a turbocharged hybrid. Hang on, is the 918 turbocharged? I think it's just hybrid. Maybe it's turbocharged. I can't remember. But look at that. That is insane. The cars that are all modern, and then you go up to old little AP1, and that's just insane, right? So again, it just shows how amazing the engine was. And trust me, when you drove one, it really felt like that. Cool. So, there we go. So I just wanted to touch on that X-Bone frame just to show you it. So as we mentioned, this is what made the S2000 so good for a convertible sports car, because at that time other cars were just wobbly and it just made they were not sharp enough. And so as you can see, this is a very old article, it's from 1999, so obviously these photos aren't the most amazing. I can't zoom anymore, but that highlights how that frame ran through the chassis, right, straight through it at height, right in the middle. And it just meant that even with the roof down, which was a material roof, so it wouldn't have made any difference, the car was extremely rigid. Also, something to mention that's not in this is the windscreen. This area here was extremely strong. I believe it was a steel construction through the window, the windscreen. And the reason for that is just because should you flip or roll this car, that was the part that protected you from being crushed. And that, with a rollover hoop behind the driver, you can see here it's highlighted in red, that meant that should the car flip, it would just stay perfectly rigid, and so it was extremely safe. Okay, let's talk a little bit about history. Now, if some of you go, oh my goodness, let's just race, we're getting there. But this is all about the love of the S2000 and explaining to so many people why this car was so loved. And so, interesting enough, it was successful at various racetracks around the world, but my favorite is the Nürburgring. I think it's the ultimate test for a car, and especially a 24-hour race. So yeah, it was successful in America and it was successful in Japan, but have a look at this. All right, this car, yeah, so there we go, International Engine of the Year, outstanding performance and reliability. But this launched a tribute oh, there we go, I just skipped over it. The S2000 was able to impressively demonstrate its outstanding performance and, of course, very important to 24-hour race, reliability in motorsports. In almost every year since 2000, it won its class in the 2-liter category at the Nürburgring 24-hour race. Now, if you go to the Nürburgring and you watch tourists and farts and people driving around, you'll see the S2000s floating around there, all right? But just to think, at that period of time, it won its class. It's not going to win the outright class. It's not a GT3 spec car. They'd have to do many things to achieve that, and that's what the NSX would have been. But for a small 2-liter convertible sports car to win the whole time at the Nürburgring was amazing. And it got a lot of at the BF Goodrich Langstreckenmeisterschaft Nürburgring. This championship will in 2000 again we regularly see 5 cars of a type sum. So in short, it was very successful at track racing. Now, I thought it'd be cool to also go and have a look at what would be the ultimate spec of an S2000. And the reason for that is pretty simple. The S2000 in its base AP1 form, which basically what I had, was amazing. And you could do minor modifications. All I did was put in an intake and new tires, but you could do minor modifications to really bring it out. You know, exhaust was an obvious one. Then you could start maybe looking at doing more stiffening to it. You could do a bit of an engine tune, and then you could go up to what I think would be the sort of a good idea to do as well as a supercharger. But people turbocharged them, people pushed their rev limits up. It was done in all kinds of fashion. But for me, if you say I give you the option to buy any historically tuned by a tuning company S2000, for me it's the Amuse S2000 GT1, made very popular by Gran Turismo. If you go to Gran Turismo, you'll see that there's an Amuse area in the Japan options, and that's all they've had for I think the last 4 or 5 Gran Turismos. Amuse, you open it up, S2000 GT1. It's stunningly cool. Look at this beautiful thing. Look at that. And it's obviously in my sort of favorite color as well, which is like a balloon white with a full red interior. Unbelievable. So this has got the straight canards. I do like the one with the curved canards. So there were different versions of them. They are somewhere in the world, and when I one day make my money, you can guarantee I'm going to go buy one of them. But just look at it. And I mean, they turbocharged it. They did so much to it. But for me, the performance is one thing, and I'm not the one that loves the turbo concept. If I did get a GT1 turbo, I might unturbo go for a supercharger. But look at it, it makes me weak at the knees how beautiful this thing was. Did they have a shot of its interior in there? Yes. How garishly red is that interior? But I would take it in a heartbeat immediately. All right, so let's have a look here. I just want to quickly double check something. Yeah, that's cool. Beautiful bright seats. Oh, hang on, what happened there? Ah, okay, fine, be like that. There we go. So yeah, for me, there are many other tuned S2000s. You know, Spoon was a legendary Honda. Is, I don't know if they're still around. I haven't seen them in a while. But yeah, they did some amazing S2000s as well. But for me, it's the Amuse. Right. Oh, no, that's not what we wanted. There we go. So I thought, let me quickly pause the music there for a second and watch just this video. This is on the JDM clips. And again, link is in the description. How flippin' 2000 is this music, right? But look at it. These are the Amuse. So you see, there's the curved canards. For me, that's the one that I would like to have. Oh, man, look at that. Especially the bonnet. And I mean, look at that. It did need, look, the intercooler that they had flat, or that might be the radiator. Because it was turbocharged, it needed a little bit more air. Wow. Let's turn that down a little bit, but just beautiful. Also, you know, it's very hard to find wheels that look perfect, and I think they nailed it. That's it. It had active, it had Venturi below the car for a bit of downforce, and obviously they widened the body kit. Massive wang. Put in a hardtop, and it's one of the few S2000s that looks good with a hardtop on it. Look at those seats, man. My goodness. And they made a yellow one as well. And they had like, each one of these was just slightly different to the last. But for me, it's that white one for sure. For sure. That's it. Brembo upgraded brakes. And so that's a different one. All right. So that was cool. So, you will at some point on this channel definitely see the me doing some toge racing in Assetto Corsa. For those who don't know, toge is basically in Japan, basically driving around in mountain roads, usually at night, and doing just, you know, street racing and drifting and stuff like that. So they've got a mod for that in Assetto Corsa, but it's got this historical thing to it. Like back in the day, we would watch these particular road car battles, and there were some legendary Japanese race drivers doing these things. And so I found this one. This is on the Tegugi Style channel, again link in the description below. But this was a Jay's Racing S2000 versus the Amuse S2000. So just to show you what it looks like, sounds like, toge battle. Hi.
Jay's Racing S2000 versus Amuse 2300 GT1.
先ほどのヤシオさんとのバトルでちょっとタイヤを頑張りすぎちゃったかな。でもお父さんは空ぼかしをして余裕の表情って感じじゃないですかね。
The legend, man. Keiichi Tsuchiya, just legend.
As Tsuchiya predicted, the final battle in the Toge 300 class came down to these two cars.
Weak at the knees, team.
Will follow as the camera
Weak
car.
at the knees.
ちょっとタイムに開きがあったんで、ちょっとその辺がすごく気になってるんですけど。
ね、ちょっとね、わかんないですね。
よし。
There we go. We got a pedal cam too.
Kazama in the J's S2K will lead
Interesting,
the run.
those are just the standard S2000 pedals. That's how good they were. Everything's modern like car, except the pedals. See? Same pedals, but completely different tuner.
With the 4.4 final gear, Jay's car is spreading the lead. Will the GT1 make up for the loss?
That Jay's Racing is beautiful though. And so this is Toge, yo. Driving through small, thin mountain roads. Any mistake, you're doomed.
What happened to your confidence at the start?
Oof. He's doing without a roof. That's the S2000 way, man.
With still some distance between the two cars, they enter the last half of the course.
Don't worry. Tsuchiya is the boss.
Jay's Racing rules the first race.
That's right. This is not good. Yeah, it was all you, mate.
Second battle with Tsuchiya
I'll
made
just
the
jump
wrong
through.
choice in picking the tires for its larger diameter wheels. Jays is following right behind. But then again,
There we go. That's it. Right. So in short, team, it was awesome. All right. And seriously, you know, that Jay's Racing was insanely good, but the S2000 did bring it back as well. Right. So I think that's good for us now from a little bit of a history lesson. So I thought, why don't we have a quick look and see, you know, how this car featured in some of the most amazing movies. So the most famous of them is, of course, Fast and Furious 1 and 2, but it has featured in many others. So here's a little treat for you, just a quick little look at 2 points for the S2000. What's a bit of a movie star.
Too soon, Julian.
Too soon, Julian. Peter kicks in. Peter, bro. And then Canon S2000 flying with pink rocket boost, yeah. Smack that ass. Yep. What can you say, man? That was crazy. So yeah, the S2000 was the bad guy car in Fast and Furious, and obviously that led to poor old Jesse being shot. But it also then was the hero car in Fast and Furious 2, but it has been in other movies as well. Cool. Now, I don't know what other YouTubers you might be watching to get your car content, but there are some brilliant ones out there, and almost all of them universally praise the S2000. All right, it is one of those cars. But Doug DeMuro for me is one of the best car reviewers of all time. He does quirks and features, which is always fun to see. You learn so many unique things about cars, but also he's not this hardcore race driver who like can drive the crap out of it and figure out its balance perfectly and all of that stuff. What he is just a normal guy who loves and has driven a lot of cars. All right, and we're talking about everything from McLaren P1 GTRs to Pagani Zondas to you name it. He's driven all of the best ones, and so when he has good things to say about a car, you know you've got to listen to it. And for me, you know, it is one of those things where when I watched his content on S2000s, he wasn't so crazy about the AP2s, but then he did one recently on the AP1, higher mileage one, and I thought I just took a clip from that and quickly play it for you. And definitely link is in the description. Go and check out Doug's channel. You know, he is truly one of the most brilliant ones, but have a listen to this.
From a driving perspective, it is one of the all-time greats. And every time I get in an S2000, I'm reminded I love this car. And so that's the original Honda S2000, one of the coolest cars in its day and still fantastic all these years later. I love this car. I always have, and it's always a treat to drive around in one.
Here we go. I mean, this is, for me, what I always try to explain to people when they go, S2000, what's that? Or, you know, it's those who know that it's one of the most amazing ones. And if you go and have a look at their values, how they've changed in the last 10 years or so, there's a reason for that. The one that I sold has doubled in value, and it wasn't a really good version. You know, it had higher mileage, you know, little nicks and scratches here and stuff. But yeah, it doubled in value literally 2 years after I sold it. Why did I sell it? I moved to a different country and it would have been too expensive to take it there. But don't worry, we'll have one again one day. And so yeah, okay, so let's have a quick look at my S2000, shall we? There we go. So this was my baby. So I owned her for the best part of 2 years, and like I said, the only real modification that I did to her was an air induction kit and some newer tires. that for me, I believe, was Monte Carlo blue, if I remember correctly. It was a stunning color, and the badge was in blue. It was the second one in the range, and as you can see there, that was the K&N Air induction kit. That is the crucial upgrade for an S2000, because that unlocks the sound that it makes. Of course, an exhaust is a good idea, but the problem with an exhaust is, depending on how you choose it, and unless you buy one that's got a valve, if it's a loud noise exhaust, you have that all the time. You start it, it's loud. You cruise through traffic, it's loud. You rev it out, that's where you want it. But the cool thing about a performance filter or a proper air induction kit is, if you don't press the throttle down, you wouldn't know that there's a actual air induction kit. But of course, what does it do? It allows the engine to breathe much better. Now, the standard S2000 air system or air intake system was of such a high level that the performance gain of an induction kit was negligible. Really, for me, it was purely about the sound, but also it did help a little bit with helping it get a bit cooler air in there. So it was awesome. Now, I've got two videos just to quickly show you me driving the S2000. Again, it seems like I'm going insanely fast, but that was one of the beauties of the S2000. You, in second gear, would be doing a legal speed on normal roads, and in third gear, when it revved out to its max, that would be the maximum speed that you could do on a highway. And so it just meant that you could enjoy this car without breaking any laws. All right, and so you would, on a highway on ramp, nail it in first, nail it in second, nail it in third. The moment you have to change to fourth, you're good. You just relax. And some of the mountain pass roads that I drove on, the same thing. You nail it in first, nail in second, and that would be a safe thing. You'll see in this mountain pass that I'm going to drive in a second, there's no barriers, and it's a quite bad road, really patchy and stuff like that. And so I couldn't drag the crap out of it, but there is one part where I give it a bit of go. So let's have a look at this one. This one was me just joining onto a small highway. And so hear the instant response of this car, right? This is in first, and here we go. Beautiful, 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 beautiful. That was, for me, just, I would have a tough day at work, get in my S2000, I'd take the roof down, even if it was dribbling, and then I would just slap it in first gear, slap it in second gear, and I couldn't remember why I was having a bad day. And so here's another one of me driving around in the Port Hills. Only thing to mention here is this was filmed with me sticking my cell phone to the window, and so at one point it does dislodge. Here we go. Look at that gear knob. One of the best gear knobs in all of cars. And you can clearly hear when VTEC kicks in, you'll hear it goes brrr, and then the whole sound changes. And again, that intake system, that unlocks that sound even more. And so there's the beautiful Christchurch in the background. So you can see it's shaking a lot. That's just because the road, you can see there's potholes and stuff. This is not a road, mountain road, that you want to carve at high speed. Definitely not. You are looking for trouble. But that's a great thing. Again, you don't have to go fast to truly enjoy this car. Here, I do push her a little bit, and you'll see the camera falls down a little bit. Good timing though. Yep. Oh, I miss her. So it was just one of the all-time greats, team. So, there's a little bit of a overview of the S2000, some of its history, what made it special. There are so many other things that I can tell you about this car that makes it special. Hidden areas in the car where you could hide stuff that most people would never know that it's there. The fact that it was the fastest open and closing roof, I digress. There are so many unique things about the S2000. So, if you ever, by some chance, get the opportunity to drive an S2000, take it. If you're in the market for something of an appreciating asset, something you could explain to your partner that I'm not throwing money away, this car will actually continue climbing in value while we can have fun and go buy coffee a few hundred kilometers away, this is the car for you. Seriously, it is one of the best. Now, I'm firing up Assetto Corsa here, team, because sometimes it does crash when I am busy doing my stream, and that's just because it is in early access. We'll talk about that in a second. But so I'm just going to quickly change a couple of settings here. There we go. And then we'll get into Assetto Corsa Evo and drive this beautiful thing. There we go. But yeah, I'd love to hear from you in the comment section. Tell me, what did you find interesting about this? Have you ever experienced an S2000? Has this shown you something that maybe piques your interest in it? I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you know somebody that has an S2000, please share this with them. I would love to hear, what did I get wrong? What did I miss? I'd love to understand this experience, because there is this really small but amazing community of people that absolutely love this game. All right, cool. There we go. Beautiful. So let's get into Assetto Corsa Evo here. And so, for those who didn't know, I'll repeat it again. Assetto Corsa Evo is still in early access. That's what that EA stands for, 0.4. When games or software programs come out, when it's version 1, that's the one that they launch with. Everything before that is usually not visible to the public. But what Assetto Corsa Evo is doing, which I think is very good, is they are releasing the game to people at half the price. Half the price. And then everybody is playing this, and they're getting data, and people are testing things, and they're giving feedback, and they've been really good. You can very easily go to their website and you can provide feedback to them. So kudos. But here you can see the stuff that they released in December. So there were physics upgrades, gameplay upgrades, but importantly, the new content. That thing down there, the Nürburgring Nordschleife, including the Tourist and Fahrten, I think that was the one that got people buying the most. But also the cars, my gosh, some of those cars are amazing. But for me, the Ferrari F40 LM is by far the best one. Don't worry, the M3 CSL is amazing, and the Ferrari Formula 1 car, it's amazing. I haven't driven the 718 Cayman GT4 RS, which is also a big car that I love. But last night, just to have a bit of fun, like I said, I drove the S2000 at night in the rain with manual gearbox. Had much fun, and then I was like, hang on, what else can I do? And I took the Toyota Supra Turbo, the drift spec variant, and that was just a hoot. So I will do a stream where we're just going to drive at night in the rain with cars and just experience it. And so yeah, that is that. Now, I've detailed Assetto Corsa Evo in my previous stream, so don't be shy to go check that out. But today we're just messing around, so we'll go into open mode, and there she is. Here's my baby. And so, interesting. You know, I'm continuously saying, oh, actually, hang on. Just want to quickly upgrade this a little bit. There we go. Cool. Just quickly fixing that. It's so interesting with the new cam. I've experienced it. The settings should be the same. The settings should be the same. I don't understand why it's done this. And even mid-stream, there's been things that's changed. And so, yeah, you know, you learn things when you do things like I do on air. And so, hey, here we go. So, let's go over the vehicles. Think about this. This game releases in early access. They have a limited amount of vehicles, virtually like 1 or 2. And so they tend to have some of the most legendary cars of all time, except for Audi. There are some better cars in there. Look at the selection of BMWs, Caterhams, you know, some amazing cars. And they put the S2000, and there's a NSX as well, into this game. That just shows how special it is. But also, have a look at here. Remember I mentioned that start button? Is my head just there? There she is. Click, 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 click. So that's it. That's the S2000 interior. How cool is that? Now, my car, I've gone for the exact same specification that I had when I bought this car. So you will see it looks exactly the same as the one. Everything except for, of course, I was on the right side of the car. And so that's the setup that I've got as well with my manual gearbox. I like to have my gear shifter on the left. And a lot of times when people say what side is best, left or right, I think if you're a right-hand dominant person, having your right hand on the steering wheel at all times is the wisest thing. Changing gear is not the most complex thing, so using the hand that's not the dominant one, the left one would be the better option. So, I guess if you're a right-hand dominant person, move to New Zealand. All right, now, like I said, if I wanted to spec my dream S2000, I thought we would do this. So, firstly, Grand Prix White is the standard S2000 color. I'd probably go for like a balloon white type, but I don't think that's available here. And so, interior color, I would go for the red spec. Wheels, I obviously would have aftermarket wheels, but these are the ones that I've got. But then here you see there are these other items you can fit. So a little splitter in the front, a small little wang on the back. So for me, this would be my S2000 spec. Though you can get an S2000 in white, but the dashboard is black. I think I would probably go for that. I think a red dashboard is a bit blah, it's a bit I would still take it, but it's a bit loud. And again, those wheels. So that would be, for me, the Dream AP1 spec. Or to be fair, the Dream AP1 spec is that beautiful Amuse spec. All right, team, let's not mess around anymore. Why don't we take this puppy for a drive, have a little bit of fun. So what are we going to do? Very simple. We will... should we just have fun and do this online? Let's first drive it just in normal, just to show you, and I can stop in the middle of the road and do stuff, and then we'll jump onto an online server and check it out. There we go. Jeez, how's this for a song? Whoa, whoa, whoa. Now, for those of you that go, what is this tourist in Barton thing you talk of? So, in simple, I did a whole stream on that. I'd highly recommend you go and check it out when you get an opportunity. Tourist in Barton is very simply just a public accessible racetrack. What you see here is the parking lot. You pay with a card and you can go on the most famous, hardest racetrack in the world. Like I said in my previous stream, with your mom's van, if that is what you choose to do. I do not condone stealing other people's cars. But anyway, so here we go. We're in the S2000. Beautiful. Just chilling in the parking lot. All right. Cool. I'll turn off Spotify for now. So cool thing about this is you have to turn on the ignition of the car and start it. There we go. Now I'm going to turn up the sound volume a little bit, so it may make it harder to hear me, but at the same time it's going to make this beautiful engine sound good. And so oof. Now, how do we warm up the tires of an S2000, you ask? Like that. I'm just going to get my microphone a little bit closer to my mouth so I can sit back just like you would in S2000. You should see this in real life. You would just drive, pay by card, and then bang, you are on the Nürburgring Nordschleife, the Northern Loop. Okay, and so let's go down here. Oh, actually, let's put on the one with the chat. And there we go. So, team, we've got a new pedal cam today. Because I got a new camera, I could use my previous camera now for my pedal cam, so it's a little bit better quality. And so I want to cover that again. So remember I talked about VTEC? Listen to this. So you'll clearly hear a difference. Okay, listen now. At 6,000. That, my friends, is VTEC. But you'll see, if you change at the right times, the revs never drop below 6,000. Oh. So used to last night, I was agitating this S2000 to get it to drift in the rain, which isn't hard. It's hard to keep it from crashing. Oh. Now you go, well, why are you over-revving this thing? It's what she likes. Most of her power is at the top in the AP1. And so you want her in the 700-800 range, and it sounds better. A friend of mine long time ago used to work at a Honda garage, and he told me how he told me how people would bring their S2000 in and they would complain that it's not driving smoothly, there's something wrong with it. And so they would simply say, yes, we'll take care of that for you. And then when that person left, they would take the car and just rev the nuts off it, take it for a drive and just clear its pipes. Because this was an engine that wanted to be revved all the way up to the top. You know, a lot of cars, it's not a good idea to rev it to its rev limiter, but this car was made for that. And so yeah, and then they just put it in the wash bay and now the climate's fixed. And that would have resulted in me blowing an S2000 engine. I wouldn't be talking and concentrating on stuff when I'm driving this car in real life, but now if you're wondering what steering wheel setup I've got, it's just a G923 Logitech with its shifter and everything, so very entry-level stuff, but mention in another stream as well is that the S2000 in its stock form does not sound like this. This is what mine sounded like from an induction perspective, and I think if you just put an exhaust in it, it would sound like this. I would definitely say that I give some feedback to Kudos and say to them that they should maybe give it as an upgrade option. Sorry, my alarm's going off as well, and now I'm trying to double multitask as a man. It's a bad idea. And drive. Hang on. Stop alarm. Stop. So yeah, I gave that feedback. I said maybe decrease the sound and then give the option to fit an induction and exhaust, and then the sound would be accurate. Now you might go, hang on, is the sun setting very rapidly? I've just set the time multiplier to max, which means that time is going in this game 48 times faster than normal. So 1 minute of me racing is 48 minutes in this. And so it's nice. You get to experience the day-night cycle very quickly. By the way, I did do a stream at Spa-Francorchamps where I drove for 30 minutes and did a 24-hour race. So definitely go check that out. if you know, play racing games, you go, wow, this is quite slow actually. It is. It is. Like, there are so many cars that are faster than an S2000. For sure. But for its price. For its price. For the fact that I'm doing this with the roof down. And it's stuck. And it's 20 years old. No, more than 20 now, I guess. Whoa, she does bite. She does bite. That was almost the end, my friend. Now, I haven't tuned her in any way for this track. This is just stock setting, so again, you can definitely make the suspension work curves a little bit better. Maybe adjust the gearing a little bit. Here's YouTube corner, wave for the people. Give it some noise. Nice. And so if you're watching my footwork, basically what I'm doing is heel and toeing when we go down gears, and that's because we want to match the engine speed to the lower gear before we pull the clutch out, because if you don't, the engine deceleration will cause the car to jerk forward, which unsettles it and causes its balance to shift, and you don't want that when you're decelerating. So I use left foot braking and then I shift my feet at that point. So here we go. So, and that's why you hear the engine go up as I shift. And so if you look at that and you go, oh, beautiful moon that out there. If you look at that and you go, wow, that's really hard. I don't think I could ever do that. You can. All you have to do is take 3 hours of one day and just drive a very small track where you have to shift gears a lot, and you just keep doing it. And trust me, the first half an hour you're going to be a thumbling idiot. You're just going to make mistakes all the time. And then after an hour you start getting into a groove. And then by the second hour you're not even thinking about it. By the third hour you're going to really start to dial it in. So I would highly recommend it. So why don't we try that? We're going to go 6th gear, and now we're going to go down from 6 all the way, hopefully, to 1st. Here we go. Ooh. Ooh. One of the most amazing feelings in any game. Perfect. Right, team? How about them apples? Oh, I love that car so much. So, yeah, why don't we head out, see if we can get a multiplayer session going. Maybe there's another person that wants to race an S2000. Have a bit of fun with it. Interesting. So I see my foot cam was playing sound. So you might have, for a period of time, heard me twice. But yeah, hopefully that's sorted now. There we go. Cool. Multiplayer server list. Wait patiently for it to load. There we go. Cool. So what we're looking for is tourist and Varden. Is the S2000 allowed? Doesn't look like it. Mods recruitment. Interesting. I don't quite understand what that means. But it doesn't seem like my S2000 is allowed. So that obviously it's a certain speed that they've got. Okay. That's a pity. You think I should just give it a go? I don't think I'm allowed to join. But, yeah. I know that Porsche, I could keep up with it in the twisty bits, so, well, we'll give it a go. And it's just a practice, so, I mean, there's nothing untoward that I'm doing here, right? Yeah. Let's see, is there anything here I could maybe beat? No. Nothing. Well, we'll give it a go anyways, shall we? Oh, that's good. Oh, there's a car inside of me, wow. Alright, so turn us on. Neutral. Oh, hang on, I don't think I'm in my car anymore. Oh, so it automatically switched the type of car you were in. Oh, that's a pity. Yeah, that makes sense though. I mean, it forced me into the BMW, I think, or something like that. Which is okay. Alright. I mean, it is a weekday, even though it's a public holiday here in beautiful New Zealand. It is a weekday, and so most of the country is out having a beautiful time in the sun, which I'll do in a few minutes, I can promise you that. But yeah, let's see. Tourist and Farson. Sydney AU welcome, sponsored by Kick. Nice one. There's nobody in there. But that's okay. We'll just drive it. Why would you not have an S2000 be available to drive? That makes no sense. Look, there's an MX-5. Like, whoever set this up, you and I, we got some beef, man. And actually, I want to try this. We should do a lap of the MX-5 and a lap of the S2000 and see which one is better. Well, I already know which one is better, but anyway. Okay, finally, there's one with an S2000. Now, the fun thing here is hopefully when I join this, because it will show that I'm in here, that people will go, oh, actually, maybe I should join that server. Look there in the bottom right. Oh, damn, the Toyota Supra drift car. I'll do a little spin in it later just for fun. We've covered all of the focus on the history stuff. Now I just get to have a wee bit of Of course, what happened? It switched to the M4 GT3 Evo to have me join the previous server. But then, of course, it now kept that as the car I was in. Wah, wah, wah. Alright. We'll try that again, shall we? See, there's only 354 people playing right now. Again, a reminder, this is not the full release version. This is an early access version of it. Oh wow, just Formula 1 cars. That's insane. Crazy music. Love it. Absolutely love it. Oop, oop. I could have sworn this had the S2000 before. Anyway. No, vehicles, my cars, Honda S2000. By the way, we'll do an NSX stream at some point as well. Multiplayer. Oh, of course, there is a filter function. So I should be able to click the filter and it'll only show me ones that I can drive at. Sort by that, tourist and Faaaaanks. But you see, this is in the USA, so it's going to be quite slow. This one's on my side of the planet. Interesting. You can see the ping is 190 milliseconds. That's not ideal, is it? Okay, well, let's go for the lower ping one, and hopefully somebody joins us. But if they don't, hang on. Can the S2000 join? But that makes no sense. Okay, again, this is a early access. But it shouldn't give me the option, if I can't drive it, if I've ticked the one that says, show only services support the currently selected car. Hey. Kudos. Okay, so as mentioned, I am going to take the S2000. We'll go for a lap. Then we'll get into the MX-5. We'll go for a lap. We'll see which one is better. Has a better time. Okay, click. We'll keep the music going. Why not? Cool. And so what we have to do I'll do this for the other car as well. We're actually considering we want to see the time. View settings. Yeah. Oh, cool tune this, by the way. This is Stream Beats by Harris Heller Team. If you didn't hear at the top of the stream, we're listening to their Sus album. This song is called Nice. I agree, to the point where I'm going to add it to my liked list. And we'll let it keep doing its thing. Right, so settings, gameplay, HUD. We're just going to go for lap timer. I don't need speedo, I don't need track map, I don't need tire status. Apply, back. Resume. Cool, so we just need to know our lap time. That'll be good. Alright, let's warm up those tires. Oh, I mean, if I do that in real life, I'd be in serious trouble. That's the pit limiter. So this all counts, by the way. So if I'm going to give that MX-5 a spin, we have to, from the start, go, because the timer starts there. From bridge to gantry, I believe is the term. Braked a little bit early there, that's alright. Sure if I can do that flat or not. And again, this is a stock S2000, 200 k's an hour. Here we go. Hopefully that was enough. Oh, there we go. which gears to do. I'm sort of... Oh, yeah, not going to third gear. Which gears to do in which corners. And so I'm just taking it as it comes. Seriously, if you want to do a workout and you don't like gymming, get a manual gearbox. So that one I could have stayed in fourth. This one in third gear seems good. Yeah, she's in VTEC. As long as she's above 6, that's all that matters. So good. Such a dangerous corner this, you can easily lose it out wide. And then slowest corner on the track. I changed slowly there because it's very easy to spin there, just the way the road is set up. Now she does have a bit of understeer in the game, which I never experienced. In real life. In fact, this car is, because of its beautiful balance, it's easy to give it oversteer if needed, but in a controllable way. So yeah, that's something maybe I have to tune out. Got that gear shifting on my behalf, man. Try and keep an eye out on the speeds that I'm going through some of these corners, because when we do that MX-5, interesting, see 170 through there. Favorite section on the track. There's many, but this is definitely my favorite. The downhill section is just, especially if you have the car really well dialed in. It's not at the moment. I think there's so many adjustments I can make, but here we go. This part is just all balls. You're trying to ride these curves on the inside, and then you take a shortcut over these curves here. You see, if I just had a longer third gear, that would be sweet. YouTube corner. Last time I shifted up here, I don't think it's needed. Shifted down. There we go. Still in VTEC, that's good. There we go. And... ooh, that's dodgy. section is so ballsy. Just gotta trust the car will stick. That one you could have stayed in third, I think. Mini carousel. Dangerous corner there, you can just understeer straight into that barrier, and there we go. Definitely by no means a perfect lap. At 8:03, it's not bad. There we go, bit of fun again. Warning track limits, yeah, right. Put our indicator on, indicate we're going to park there. Was it more? Yeah. Is that good? Yeah, that looks good. All right, handbrake up. Car off. Okay, so we did just over 8 minutes with the S2000, which I think is pretty good. Not too shabby notch. So, yeah. Like I said, just for a bit of sniffs and giggles, why don't we do a comparison between that and the Mazda MX-5, just to see what it feels like, because I've, in my life, only driven a Mazda 2 times, and both times I've thoroughly enjoyed it, but it's not fast. Where it is beautiful is tight, twisty roads, definitely not too much uphill, and of course, there is a world's worth of modifications that you can do to make the car faster and better in every way possible. But again, this is us doing it in stock. Did it select that? There we go. Here we go. I haven't done any mods to it. It's just the old standard, naturally aspirated MX-5. I think this is also probably the most popular one. Okay, and so just to remain fair, we'll play some music while we wait. Cool. And so we do that, and it was cool. There's 2 people in here at the moment, even though they don't allow S2000s in. Maybe it's just too good, team. That's it. That is it. So they don't allow you to drive an S2000 in this server because of the fact that it is such an absolute freaking weapon. That's it. Simple as that. All right. Cool. Okay, we'll turn off the music again. Let's go to pedal cam. Boom. And ignition on. Let's hear what she sounds like. Not bad, but again, I think similar to the S2000. This is probably post induction and exhaust upgrade. Okay. See if we can beat 8 minutes. Just keep it below that 50 or technically 60 mark. And I'll sit back just a little bit so we can see our mirrors. That seems a bit more realistic. Okay, here we go. Are we ready? Let's do it. Okay, 7,000 is the limit. And so, yeah, this is the MX-5, one of the all-time greatest two-seater sports cars. Stock. 5 foot's flat, by the way. Feels like this car doesn't have ABS. That judge was like, whoa, bro! With that Marshall side. Now remember, this car did not have that X frame that the S2000 had, and so it was a bit more wobbly. Gotta be careful through this section here. I don't know how much grip that will have. There we go. That's pretty good. But no VTEC here, team. So, yep. Also, the stock tires were not as good. Much more, how should I say? Less spiky. So you can feel it's way more easy as it lets go. You can steer into it. So very user-friendly. We're going to try to do this flat. That's alright. What's that, 160 kilometers per hour? See, at this point the S2000 was already doing 200. There we go. I believe this was also a 5-speed, so I don't think it could go to 6. We're just going to tap the brake a little bit, see if she can hold this line. Yeah, she's good. There you go, a bit of gear change. It does feel strange, like it almost feels like there's no ABS, which there would have been, I believe. We'll test this later. Down the foxhole in an MX-5 we go. Such an enjoyable car. The thing is you go, well, a Porsche is better. Of course it is. A Ferrari is better. Of course it is. But if you're new to driving and you want to get your skills up without killing yourself, an MX-5 is the way. I'm going to keep her in third here. See? Easy to handle all over the limit. I think actually ABS is working. It just kicks in so much quicker than the S2000. Because of that, it just locks up. Well, it's not locking up. ABS is stopping it from locking up, but it feels like it's locking up. So check this out. Here it's going to happen again. Yeah, it's very, very loose versus the S2K. Yeah, an MX-5 wouldn't sound like that stock, so that's an exhaust and an induction. And so it just means that I have to be on the brakes a bit earlier and try to straight line it, because the moment I hard brake, she just wants to go straight off the track. Now again, this is not a race car. Mazda didn't make this car for the racetrack. They made a 2-liter convertible car that was a bit sporty and fun to drive. S2000, Honda poured everything they knew at that time, technology-wise, into it. They set out to make a driver's car, something that was a bit of a weapon. Engine of the year, X-Bone chassis, you name it. So this comparison is not fair, but I'm doing it because people keep going, oh, it's just like an MX-5. It's like, no, dude, not even close. I think there's more technology just in the valve crane of the S2000 there is in the entire MX-5. Uphill, foot is flat, should be at its peak power. It's not happy. I should be able to take this flat, considering. My foot's flat, team. Now, of course, the MX-5 was a 1600 or 1.6 liter. That's not the fastest way through them. Whereas the S2K was obviously a 2 liter, so again, way more power. I was like, how fast can I go through there with this? Clearly not that fast. Come on, little 1600, you can do it. Get up this hill. The suspension of this MX-5 is also nice and soft versus the S2K, so curbs are way safer. I have to try and see if Assetto Corsa Evo has it, but I haven't found the horn button, which you definitely want. Oh, there we go. Pop up fucking headlights! Yeah. Now for those who've just joined, you go, hang on, this is S2000 Love Edition, why are you in an MX-5? Because drifting, no. It's just a comparison. It's just because a lot of people who see a S2000 first time go, oh, is that an MX-5? And a very sensitive point for S2000 owners. So I just want to compare. So I ran a 8-minute 3-second lap with the S2000. So yeah. Now I can 100% say I am not giving this a perfectly fair comparison because I've driven that S2000 a few times around here, so I know a little bit better about where to do what. But I think it's easy to see the differences already. So we did an 803 with the S2K. And a 923 with the MX-5. Let's see if it's got a 6th gear. No, it does not have a 6th gear. even know why the speedo can't reach. Anyway. See, warning track limits. I'm entering the garage. Come on. Yep, I do have a reverse gear. But I clearly don't know how to operate a clutch. There we go. And so that was our Mazda MX-5 S2000 comparison. And so basically over a minute, about a minute and 20 seconds difference between the two. Yes, of course, I could go a little bit faster with the MX-5, but I can go a lot faster with the S2000 as well. And so it's important to understand that. It's definitely in no way me ragging on the MX-5. Not at all. It's just important for people to understand when they try to compare the two, they really can't. The only thing that you can compare is the fact that it's front engine, rear-wheel drive, and the roof comes up. But even then, the MX-5, the engine sits slightly in front of the front wheels, whereas the S2000 sits behind. So just no comparison. Okay, so I tell you what, let's have a wee bit of fun in the rain with an S2000, and then we'll call it a day. So I can go and enjoy some of that delicious sun that's out there on this beautiful public holiday. But love to hear from you, like in the comments below. I'd love to just get your feelings. What do you think of the S2000? Have you heard of it before? Have you driven one? Has this maybe convinced you that you want to buy one day? Hang on. Vehicles, my cars, Honda S2000. Go. Drive. Single player. So now we're going to make things hard on ourselves. We're going to drive at night. So we got a message here from ESDFDD. Hey, I'd love to join your live whenever you're streaming. Kindly help by adding me up on Discord. So easiest thing to do here, ESDFDD. Just head over to my website. Link should be in the description below, but I'll quickly pop it up on screen now. nextleveljj.com. Just head over there. There's links to my Discord, links to everything there, and then you go ahead and join up like that. Easy as that. Anyway, so we're going to do time start at night, apply, and we're going to go for heavy rain because we are masochists. And S2000. Now, by the way, if ever you ask, what am I running from an assist perspective? None. Even when I drive Formula One, I do not want any assists on. I love to have it all off. Of course, in some cases, you drive with traction control and things like that, especially when you drive GT3 cars that have them and that's how they race in real life. But an S2000 didn't have any of these, so I will neither. I will not either. All right, cool. Let's go and have a bit of wet fun with an S2000. Now, of course, this is a lot harder, and so if I do spin, fine. Oh, it's been such a fun stream. Like, every time I do Assetto Corsa, I talk about the S2000, and I just really felt I needed to get this out of my system. And so, you know, I will, at some stage, do a non-live ode or love to the S2000. I'll put a lot more production quality into it, but I thought I'd love to drive it a little bit and just do it on air, because you learn so much. Like, I'm doing all of these streams because I want to upgrade my abilities as a streamer. And so I'm adding new technology, new cams, new this, new that, new filters. And so it's all part of, you guessed it, taking things to the next level. All right, shall we? I almost want to turn the lights off for the camera, for my pedal cam, so it looks more realistic. I could probably do a filter now, but I'm not going to worry about that. All right, At least one thing you're going to be able to see is the beautiful digital dials of the S2000. Just one of the highlights, and I think one of the best of all time. Anyway, look at that. So a lot of cars, it's hard to figure out what speed you're doing. Not in the S2000. It's right there in front of you. A lot of cars, it's hard to figure out what your RPM is. Not a problem here. You can see it without looking at it, and you will hear it. And by the way, you won't know that, but when you hit the red line, the 9000, it technically has a shift light. That red part will flash just before you hit the red line, and so you can do these perfect shifts. All right, so how about this? Oh, I mean, nothing wrong with the MX-5, but I think we have a winner. All right. All right. Now, I don't have a roof on at the moment. Splish splash, I was taking it back. No, I won't enable the pentameter because I can clearly see what speed I'm doing because I have a digital dial. Alright, there's no traction control, remember? And again, team, for those who didn't hear it before, listen to the change in engine tone as we hit 6,000. Listen. That's VTEC, baby. Oh, I'm already in trouble. Heavy rain, remember? We're into ABS. Gotta be careful when this thing hits VTEC. It does suddenly get a lot more power. That when the tire it's wet, that means you can just suddenly spin. Drift when it's wet, and that's because an S2000 is a very grippy car, and so it means that as you lose control, if you gain control and you're still counter steering, basically you're in the grass, in the ditch, in the dumps. Is that too fast? Oh! I mean, these are stock road tires in the woods. Oh, that ABS. My stereo is like shaking my hands from all the ABS. She almost got that. This speed, this car, these conditions, oh, big nuts, bro, big balls. Oh, I'm drifting. Oh, I'm drifting. Yeah, I knew it. I knew it. I should have been a little bit more cautious there. Especially the Foxhole. Okay, well the car seems to be relatively undamaged. Trigos and obviously Assetto Corsa Evo. I think their rain simulation is really good. Is it the best? Is it better than iRacing? No. But this game is in early access. So they're still working on a lot. The fact that you can get this for half price, and of course the open world is going to be huge as well. I don't know why I went down the first gear there. S2000 at the Nürburgring at night in the rain. Ooh, lots of poop came out there. This is going to be very dangerous. As you go on camber, off camber, on camber. And so the car just, the balance shifts the whole time you go through these left-hand turns at high speed in the wet on-road tires. Like you wouldn't do the speed on a highway in a straight line with an S2000. Now you're doing it on a track. Only 86. Quite relaxed, eh? I don't think I'd be that relaxed if this was real. Maybe VR will get that heart rate up a little bit more. Around what's going on with your car. What's the RPM? You can see it without looking down. What's the speed? You can see it without looking down. Not that that's important on a track, of course, but in real life, it helps. ABS. Yeah, this without ABS would be a nightmare. For the crowd that's chilling at YouTube corner in the rain, these stalwarts. I wish I could hoot. YouTube corner is famous because of all the corners at the Nürburgring, it's one of the most action-packed, crashy, gives the best acceleration, everything. So head over to Auto Addiction on YouTube. And you can see some amazing videos of cars going through that corner. Not just that one, but do you see that VTEC just kicked in as I was turning and almost went shopping? Almost. Yeah, it's alright. Whoa, 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 whoa. See, touch the grass while your foot's flat on the throttle. Bad idea. Why? Outside wheel is on tar, so it's got more grip. Inside wheel is on grass, so it starts to spin, causing the car to pull to the left. Pushing more on the grass, which makes it even worse. Much poo came out there. Many levels of poo. And there we go, team. A nice casual tourist in Barton. At night, in the rain, in an S2000. I promise you I'm much better at driving the car in real life. There we go. All right. Man, this has been fun. Oh my goodness, this has been fun. I've had just the most amazing time. All right, team. There we go. There will be many more love editions of the S2000. I can guarantee you that. But I enjoyed it, and I'd love to hear from you. You know, tell me about, did you find what I showed at the start interesting? You know, I could spend days doing research, but I thought highlighting some websites would give you something that is tangible, is real, and you can see why this car is so highly loved by so many people. So yeah, in the comments below, tell me what you think. Anything that you more want to know about this, please share your experiences. If there's a video that you really like about the S2000 that you think captures its essence, let me know, because like I said, I want to do a higher production quality, non-live creative version of this. But I enjoy doing it live, learning things as we go, and so we did it this way. But hey, as always, if you want to help me, you want to support this channel, you want to be part of our community as we grow this out, don't be shy. Head over to nextleveljj.com. All of my socials are there, but of course, Discord is the way you can connect. You jump in that channel, you just say, hey, I like this game, and I will put you in a smaller group, and that's those groups where we then arrange times where we play together. Like me and a nice person from Morocco in my last Assetto Corsa stream got together and just had a lot of fun. So definitely go and check that out. Then, of course, as always, Stream Beats by Harris Heller. Just the shizzle my nizzle. I just can't do my streams without them. They are so good. If you want to know, we're listening to the Sus album. Right now it's Sugar Rush playing, but I'm going to just sneak over to I Hate Mondays. There we go. Because I also think it's a freaking awesome song, and also Fluffy Kitten Cuddles. All right, team, we're going to call it there. It's been a lot of fun. My schedule's got me with Claire Obscure tomorrow night. The timestamps or the time it will be depending on your region is also listed on my website in the schedule area. And then also tomorrow I will be releasing my schedule for the coming week. There's probably going to be a lot things like Rust, things like be doing a Counter-Strike stream, so lots in there. But obviously I'd love to hear from you. If there's a game that I'm not playing that you think is a good idea to play, let me know. But as always, team, this has been awesome. I really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you have a fantastic week wherever you are. We'll catch up soon. Ciao.